Hi, everybody. Welcome to School of Scarlet. So happy to have you here today. We're going to be talking about judgment and how judgment keeps us in separation. So, to start off, I just wanted to share a quote that's famously known by Gandhi. And so, Gandhi, when he was asked about his nationality, he famously spoke, "I am not a Muslim. I am not a Hindu. I am not a Christian, and I am not a Jew. I am a human being." And so this quote is just something to start off here because what we truly are at our very essence and core is human being. But even further than that, we are all just united and we are really nothing. We're just all coming from the same source in consciousness. So I just wanted to share that with you because this is a very deep topic. There's different layers to this, and depending on the place that you're at right now, you may see things very differently. There's going to be times that you may feel very separate and see the separation. And there's other times that you're going to feel very united and in unity with everything, and you're going to feel very connected. And that's very natural. We actually move and oscillate through these both because we are living in duality. And this is happening at all times. We are actually feeling the separation of our separation, but there is no separation. And when that is seen through, and when it's felt that we've never really been in separation and that unity within happens, judgment changes. Judgment becomes something completely different. Judgment begins to soften. Now, that's not to say that it doesn't ever happen. So that's why I mentioned there's always going to be this duality playing, and there's always going to be the paradoxes happening and this and that. So it's always going to appear as though there's judgments. But as the judgments begin to soften and fall away for you, what you'll see that's going to happen is that you're no longer going to judge just, instantly and harshly. What you're going to do is it's going to transform into something more like discernment. And discernment is when you encounter something, you actually take in consideration everything and you don't just judge it harshly off the bat. You consider it as a whole. What is all going on here? And so it's the difference between judging someone. For example, the other day I was at the doctor's office. There was a little boy in there, and he was yelling and being very loud and running up and down the waiting area. And his mom wasn't saying a whole lot to him. And I was there with my husband, and my husband said, why doesn't the mother do anything? What is going on? What's wrong with that boy? And I, just let him know, um, I don't know, but maybe he has something going on. Maybe he has autism. I saw some of the things he had on headphones, and he had a tablet with him as he was running. So, a lot of times we have to discern and take into consideration other factors that could be coming into play rather than just judging it as this is a bad child or a bad mother. Because as soon as we do this, we separate and we create this level of separation that can turn into something else. It could lead even to anger, it could lead even to hate. So it's a very slippery slope to just harshly judge someone because they're different than you, or they're behaving different, or they just have different beliefs or different ways of being. We are all very unique. If you notice, we all have some similarities here and there, but for the most part, it's unique. The way we behave, the way our appearances are, our mannerisms, our personality, preferences, and then these things change and evolve with time too. So we're very changing and we're very unique. So there's not going to be two of the same here on this universe. And even when we take into consideration identical twins, they're not necessarily identical in all aspects. So they may be physically appearing as identical, but their personalities, their interests, their ways of being are very different. So we're all expressing very differently, and we have to kind of embrace that and have a little bit more compassion for people as they are on their expression and their journey in life. They're going to be doing and expressing very differently, and their realities are going to be very different. We have a friend that his reality is very different than ours, and things happen in his reality that don't happen in ours. And I guess we could say the same or he could say the same about us. So it's very different, the things that occur even within people and their realities and what they're experiencing. So we have to just kind of be kind of easy on everybody and in every situation. So there is another story that's very interesting as well to take into account here, and that's the story of the two wolves. And so there's a Cherokee elder, and so he's out there with his grandson just walking, and they're talking about, he's sharing with him a story with some meaning about two wolves. And he tells the boy that there's two wolves that live inside of each and every one of us. And one wolf is love, it's patience, it's kindness, it's empathy, it's compassion, it's uplifting, it's peace. And the other wolf that lives inside of us is fear. And that wolf is anger, jealousy, shame, guilt, torment. And so the list goes on and on for each of those. And so the little boy ponders that, and he asks the Cherokee elder, his grandfather, which one wins? And the Cherokee elder says, the one you feed. So that is just like this. When we're judging, we're either playing into fears of that they're different than us. It's usually something within the unknown. We're perceiving a difference, we're perceiving something unknown, and it becomes a threat because we're not secure yet in who we are. And what we are is totally secure. We have no reason to fear anything that's different than us, because anything that is outside of us, anything that is even different than us, is actually another aspect of us. It's a part of us. We are all united. So when we're perceiving these differences, they're really all based in illusion. So if we can see kind of radically through the illusion, the judgment falls away. But that's easier said than done. Most people are not just seeing through the illusions at all time, because we're living a relative life here on earth, and this is the experience we're having. But what's happening really is nothing. Nothing is really happening, and there's no one else. So the complete illusion of it, you can drop the judgment just knowing that. But if you're not tuned into that, if you're not perceiving that, then the next step from there is perceiving everything as one. So when we perceive everything as one and in unity, it's very hard to judge another, because you're seeing them more as a reflection to yourself, or you're seeing them as a part of yourself, one or the other. And when you see it this way, it's very hard to judge, because it all falls on you either way. You're connected to it all. So, where you would in the past maybe want to judge someone, in the case of feeling oneness, unity, or just anything like that, like feeling like everybody's a reflection to you, with those mindsets, you're very likely to give love, give compassion, give empathy, because that is part of you, and you're wanting to have that. So, yeah, judgment just pretty much falls away, and you switch it over to now discerning everything. So, rather than judging things, we're now discerning things. And this isn't a practice that you need to do, although you can do it, just like the story of the two wolves. You can just allow yourself to naturally integrate into dropping some of that judgment as you release judgment to yourself. So, one thing to keep in mind is, if you're perceiving or judging a whole lot of separation, or perceiving judgments and things, usually that's a sign that we're judging ourselves. So, we'd start there. Where are we judging ourselves? And I made a list of ways and in different areas of life that we judge ourselves and that we judge others. And so I'll share that list with you here. One of them is the most obvious one, is personal appearance. So we're very judgmental of our personal appearance, and our personal appearance is not something that we need to really judge, because it's just something that we were born into. We didn't choose this, although we could say we chose it or whatever, but we really, if we think about it the way that we perceive it, we didn't choose this. And so this is just the costume that we're appearing as right now. It's not completely, we don't have to own it completely. We just have to work with it. We have to make the best of our costume. And this costume is going to change who we are, our appearance, our body is going to age. It's going to have issues. It's going to change. That's just part of life. Just like we look at nature, it changes. It has seasons. Even animals age. We see this with everything. But why is it so hard to accept that for ourselves? Why is it that we don't judge an old bear or an old tree? But we judge ourselves so harshly as we change, as we age, as we change appearance, as we gain weight. We seem to place a lot of judgment there. And really, we're judging something that is just happening, it's just appearing. It's not anything that is really a threat. Like I say, there's no reason to have a separation there. We can embrace this appearance just like we can embrace the appearance of our neighbor or anybody else. But for whatever reason, it's so much harder to drop the judgment within. So we really have to reflect back in the beginning when we're really judging a lot. Is it happening within? Are we judging our personal appearance in any way? And let's get to peace with that. Let's find some self love in that. Let's find the beauty in that. If you can find the beauty in nature, in a beautiful flower, in the beautiful sunset, can you find the beauty in the beautifulness of you, of who you are, the creation that you are appearing as? This is just as beautiful as a beautiful sunset. If you've ever been in a relationship, if you have a husband, wife, a child who loves you, do you see how they look at you? Do you see how they love you? Do you see how, your partner fell in love with you and so much that they wanted to marry you, they wanted to live life with you? Your child, do you see the face light up as you come home from work, as you're, playing with them? They see that beauty. Now, can you see that beauty? Reflect it back and begin to embrace that beauty that you are, because you are beautiful. No matter what you can say is a flaw about you, it's beautiful. Okay, so the next thing would be behavior. A lot of times we judge our behavior and we judge other people's behavior. Like the mention of the child at the doctor's office. We're judging, is that child good, bad? Is the mother good or bad? If we watch someone kind of lose control and go into anger or something, we judge them. But when haven't we been at that point? Haven't we had those moments as well? So can we kind of drop that? And so as a mother, having a young baby, and when my daughter was young, all mothers go through having young children and having them be kind of rowdy, run around, do silly things. I remember taking my daughter to get like new shoes or something, and every time we'd go to the shoe store, she'd just take off running, going down the aisles. As soon as I took her shoes off, she was running. And and then other times maybe we'd go to the bathroom and the bathroom stalls, and she'd say funny or silly things, and I would become self-conscious of these things, thinking that other people were judging me and thinking that I was not a good mother, or this or that. And so that's the typical thing that happens. But after you go through this, and now my daughter's older now, when I see young mothers and their kids are, running around or doing silly things like that, I have compassion for them because I've been there. That's how we get compassion, is really through living life and experiencing it as well. So it's another way we learn. But now when I see a mother like that, I lend her a hand, or I don't really look at her in a way that she would feel judged or anything. I try to send love and compassion, because this is just part of life. Just like that man got angry and lost control, that can happen to us at any point as well. Even as awakened as we want to think we are, anything can happen. So just kind of dropping that judgment of behaviors with ourselves as well. And not judging the behaviors of others either, because we don't know where they're coming from, what their experience is. And working in mental health and social work, this has really helped me a lot to have this level of discernment that I have now, because I've seen, in working with people in counseling and social work, when they're at their lowest, they've shared with me, what's their triggers, what happens, why they react the way they do, and these sorts of things. So I have a whole nother perspective that, I'm sure a lot of people don't have the privilege of having. But for me, I see there's so much that goes into this, of why someone has a certain behavior. So we just have to kind of give them compassion and just look at it as, not why are they doing this, but what happened to them? What happened to them that they're acting this way? And, we all evolve over time, but there are those times that we're very emotionally immature in life. And I'm sure I've been there, and I'm sure y'all can say you've been there. It's just part of life. So the next thing would be cultural judgments. When we judge people based on cultural things, a lot of times people have certain ways of being because of their culture. It doesn't make it right or wrong. That's just the culture that they were born into. That's just what they're doing there. But yet we have a lot of times these judgments of, oh, I would never do that, or why do they do it that way, or it's crazy, or we really judge it. But they're where they are right now, how they are expressing right now is just perfectly fine for right now. It's just what's happening. As you really look at things begin to change and evolve. Whatever is happening now isn't going to happen for a long time, so you can drop that judgment and just feel safe in knowing that we are always evolving and changing into all kinds of things. So we don't need to cling on to this is the only way of being. There's many ways of being. And the next thing would be academic judgments. A lot of times there's these academic judgments going on, and I've seen it happening where people are judging themselves because they didn't graduate high school, they don't have a GED, they never went to college, or they're working a profession that they feel that they don't have the right education for, whatnot, or their family has all of them have this level of education and they only have this one. So these judgments on academics is just something that happens as well. Some people are able to go and get their college degree and do that, and what you find out is that those people usually came from a family that had that background. So there's a lot to play in there, a lot's going on. So a lot of that could be programming as well. So we can't judge, all of that. And if we're judging ourselves because we haven't met a certain academic achievement of some kind, that is something to explore as well. Because what we are is infinite. We have all the means, all the ways to reach any academic um, level that we want if we truly desire that. If that's our heart's desire, if we take each step and really trust life, then that's where it will lead us. So there shouldn't be any judgment or stress put upon us if that's truly what we are meant to be doing. So all of that should kind of clear up for you as you really look back inward, and also look at the others and see how, really, same thing like social work. If we really look and explore at their whole background of where they came from, why didn't they get that college degree? Maybe they got into addiction, and so they were trapped in addiction for a while, or they had a child, or they got married. So certain things may hold people back, but that doesn't mean anything about that person at all. So we can kind of drop that judgment. And so the next thing would be career judgment. So that's very much in line with the academic judgment. Sometimes we are judging careers. This is the ultimate career. This is the best career to have. And so we have those listed. And then we kind of give out those demands, or we put that out to our children or whoever. If you're a teacher, maybe to your students or something like that, as this is the best career. This is the best thing to do, and never really questioning or asking, what do you really want? And really going within the person that you're speaking to. We're just judging and just putting these professions on a pedestal, but what we really should be doing is going into the heart of the person we're speaking to, and having some compassion and having some listening and asking and inquiring with them. What is it that you want to do? What is it that you love? We don't need to give them every answer of what's the best thing for them. We all actually innately have deposited in these human costumes unique gifts and things that can develop if we so choose to do it, if we so desire to do that, if we align with that, that's what feels good to us as a person. But if you see, a lot of times we fall into these traps of picking things that people have already said are good, but we don't know that. We're going off what they say, and we try them and they don't feel good, because we should be doing the things that do feel good. So go with that. Go with what feels good, and drop that judgment within yourself, and go ahead and choose to do the things that you want to do. Because if you really look at how long you're spending at work, it's at least 8 hours a day, right? 40 hours a week. It's a long time for your life. And so what do you want to be doing in that time? That's the question to really ask people. What would you love to be doing for 8 hours a day? Ask yourself that, ask others that, rather than judging whatever it is that they're doing. Okay, so the next thing would be financial judgments. And we judge people based on, are they rich? Are they poor? Kind of putting them in those two categories. And we have judgments about the poor, and there's judgments about the rich. The poor, they don't work hard enough. They don't do this. They don't do that. Then there's all these judgments on the rich people. Rich people are greedy. They just take all this stuff. So all of these things are going to separate us from even having a good relationship with money, which is a very important thing to consider. So we want to drop all judgments regarding finances. We just look at money as something we're having a relationship with. We don't worry about anybody else's relationship with money but ours. And as long as we are being compassionate, receiving, and in the flow of money, then that is all that matters. That's not anything to judge someone on, but we judge them on this and we say, okay, this person is better than that person, or I should be with this person and not that person. But we really have to drop those judgments within ourselves and for others, because it's completely unnecessary and there is enough abundance and money for everybody. So there shouldn't be any judgments there unless you're perceiving lack, which you aren't in lack. That's a total illusion. That's a total illusion that you're in lack. You never have been in lack at all. Okay, so the next thing would be that we're judging relationships. So we're judging other people's relationships. We're judging our relationships. And so there's a lot of judgment there. And sometimes we're judging ourselves for not having a certain relationship. Maybe we feel bad that we're not married. We feel bad that we don't have a boyfriend or girlfriend, or we feel bad that we don't have children, or we feel bad about the fact that maybe our family is separated from us. And so we begin to have all these judgments about ourselves regarding relationships. And then we project that to other people, and we see people that aren't married and we judge them. Oh, they're not, we have the same judgments that we have for ourselves for others, is what happens. And it creates this division and separation with everybody. Whether you see it or not, it does exist there for you. So, yeah, we always want to look back at ourselves and see, where are we judging ourselves on this area, like relationships. And so the next thing would be health. A lot of times we see this playing out all over the place. People are judging each other for their weight. This person, they judge them because they're overweight, and all of these reasons that, they're no good or something's wrong with them, and how they're unhealthy and all this stuff. And then they judge people that are skinny, that they're too thin, that they need to eat more, and that they're going to hurt themselves. And so there's judgments for either side. There's judgments about people that are sick. There's people that believe that people that are sick have done something, or that's something that they brought upon themselves. And then there's people that really suffer into these illnesses and things, and people believe them, or place judgment on them. Oh, that's such a horrible disease that you have, and then it becomes more real for them. So there's so much that goes along with health and judgments that we could go into, really. Um, but it's really a place that we just have to show a little compassion, especially with health, because we we can only really be there to support and give compassion to people that are having these health issues. And the reality of it, it is an illusion. But as it's happening, it's very real. It's very real to everybody around and everything like that. So we have to just stay constant, give love, give compassion for anybody in these health issues, just like we would do it for ourselves. So we're going to turn it around and look at ourselves. So how have you ever judged yourself when you were sick? That would be the question to ask back to yourself. Have you ever judged yourself because you're sick? Oh, I'm in low vibration, or oh, I'm not in connection with God, or oh, I'm haven't been eating healthy, or oh, I haven't exercised, or I haven't taken my vitamins. Those sorts of things are actually judgments. You're judging yourself based on something you did or didn't do, thinking that you caused that, or that not doing that or doing that did something to you to cause that illness. So when we drop those judgments, we can drop those judgments for others and just allow whatever happens to happen. And what you'll notice is, in doing that, health improves anyway. So we just got to drop judgments for ourselves and for others. And so the next thing would be age. There's a lot of judgments around age, and I kind of touched that a little bit in the beginning when we talked about appearance, because there's a lot of judgments of, oh, someone's too old to do that, someone's too young to do that. That's really just a perception you have. And I mean, there's different levels of people being, too emotionally immature or something like that, but there's a lot of young people that are very mature. There's a lot of old people that are very immature. So we really can't place these kind of judgments and generalize. We have to use discernment, like I talked about. We have to really take into consideration everything that's happening with that person. Let's say that there's a very young person running for president. Well, rather than just saying, oh, he's so young and I'm not going to vote for him, why not discern the situation? Really look and see what does this person have to offer? What are their qualifications? What do they say? What do they feel like? How do I feel like when they're speaking? Things like that. Really taking into consideration a lot of different things to discern. And so discernment's a little bit different because in the end, we're still just going to give compassion. um, we may move away from something, and that's all that would happen is, okay, we're not going to vote for that person. But it's not that we're going to say something to that person or judge them or judge ourselves for it. It's just not our choice at the time. So that is how that happens. The other thing would be lifestyle. And that's our last one. Lifestyle is just another thing that people judge is we don't understand someone's lifestyle that's different than us, so we judge them. There's always the city people judging the country people, or the country people judging the city people. That's been going on forever. And so there's different ways to be, and they're all valid and beautiful. So we have to kind of see through these illusions and illusory separations and barriers that we ourselves put up that aren't even there. And so if we play into these judgments enough and we really judge these people, we didn't even really talk about some of the issues within society, like politics or this gender, inequalities and fights and things that are happening. So all of these things, if we really went into those and looked at the judgments that are happening there and where they lead, we can really see that they really lead to hate. They really lead to division, separation, and can even lead to wars and things like that. So judgment is something that is not very natural for us. It happens all over the place because this is duality. It's always going to appear, but it can be turned around into discernment. And when we use discernment, we make better choices and decisions of things, and we have more compassion and empathy for others. So that allows us to do that for ourselves. So it's all like a give and take between the outside and the inside. If we can get more balanced with ourselves and not judging ourselves for all of those things that I listed, then we can have more compassion and empathy for others. In turn, we feel more peace, we feel more joy, we feel more love, and we feel less separation to the point that we're in oneness and we're feeling unity at all times. And that now begins to be our new way of being. So, this is just something that we can actually do. Just like the Cherokee elder taught his young grandson, you can choose which wolf you're going to feed. Are you going to feed fear or are you going to feed love? And whichever one you feed, that is the one that wins. And so you are in charge of that. You have everything here. You've always been in charge of everything. So take that and do something with it. Which one do you choose? Do you choose to feed fear or love? And so I think the answer is pretty simple, but some of us are living a little bit unconsciously to that. But I hope that after this video kind of opens your eyes to especially all these different areas that we can really look at and see, hey, are we really judging in those areas? And begin to drop some of that, because there is absolutely nothing wrong with you. You are perfect, whole, and complete as you are in this moment. And I hope that you can see that as I see it in you. Thank you so much for watching. Love you.